First off, I just want to say that YouTube, you really need to fucking put a hold in your copy strikes because you're just basically throwing out copy strikes like it's fucking candy. Like, people are getting copy strikes who don't deserve them, and that just puts a hell of a strain on their account and what they can upload. But I'm not going to rave about how much I hate about it because this is a spoiler review discussion on the latest Bleach chapter 578. It's a pretty amazing chapter as well. Also, bear with me please because I am feeling a little bit sick, but I really wanted to do this just to get this information out there to you guys. Also, if you've watched my spoiler videos, discussions, theories, etc. in the past, you'd see that I used to put up pictures of the manga in there. I won't be doing that anymore because that is what is causing me to get a copyright strike. Obviously, I understand because I don't own that kind of content, but when you see it floating around on 1,000 other YouTube channels and it's still there and they're not getting copyright strikes, you just think to yourself, you know, why is it just me? Like, it's basically like the copywriters are just bullying you, like they're just picking on you for no reason, especially with these people who are like up and coming YouTube channels, for example, like me, who really get extremely stressed when copyright strikes like these things happen. Anyways guys, without further ado, I am Currency from the Otaku here with a manga chapter spoiler review discussion theory, a little bit of everything on the latest Bleach manga chapter, Bleach 578. Also, it is in, I will put the link for where you can read this in the description below, so you will actually be able to read it yourself, but I won't personally be putting up the side-by-side rules with the translations. There are translations at the end, so when you do read it, possibly read the translations and then look at the rules, so you'll have a kind of idea of what is going on, what is being said. And now, let us start this spoiler. So basically, on the first page, we just have continuing off from last week's 577, where Kenpachi unleashed his Nozarashi and he fucking just destroyed that meteor like he's cutting cake. Basically, he's basically like, yeah, cut this cake, time to eat, and he just fucking just destroyed it. Basically destroyed a meteor like it was nothing. So yeah, so Kenpachi destroys the meteor, swallowed Nozarashi, meteor gone, cutted it like cake, exploded. Moving on, we have Gremmy the V, saying to Kenpachi, you bloody monster, what are you, etc, etc. I mean, this is Gremmy saying to Kenpachi that he's the monster when Gremmy is supposed to be the monster himself. Which is like, you know, basically Gremmy saying to Kenpachi that he's a monster means that Gremmy is like nothing compared to Kenpachi, and Gremmy is kind of admitting that fact. So yeah, that was just that one page of this dialogue, this monologue of Gremmy. And then we move on to page 3. Also, actually, before I continue, I'm not 100% sure if this is a complete chapter or just like 70% to 90% of the chapter, because it is only 13 pages. And as we all know, there are about 18 to 19 pages in a manga in general. So now, continuing on, we have Kenpachi saying to Gremmy, there is nothing that I cannot cut. So, and he's standing in the picture looking badass with Nozarashi on his back, like he's prepared to cut some more cake. Moving on, we have Gremmy using the same power he did before, how he doubled himself and now he triples himself. So now triples, not so right, because from what I can see there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There seem to be 8 of him, so he octoplied himself, if that's a word. Yeah, so there's 8 of Gremmy now, and what he's saying is, if you can cut everything, then I'll have to kill you with something that you cannot cut, something with no substance, with no form. Similarly to how he tried to drown him, and that didn't work. Now that there are 8 Gremmys, he is going to envelop Kenpachi in what is literally space, outer space. So with 8 Gremmys, he somewhat transports or just makes real a fraction of space in this confined area around Kenpachi. And we have Gremmy saying that in outer space, body fluids will be evaporated from your eyeballs and mouth. When wounds are exposed in the universe, your blood will be boiled. If you want to breathe, lungs will be destroyed and your body tissue will slowly collapse. So obviously in the state that Kenpachi is in now, with surrounding him in space, with his wounds, etc, etc, his body will basically spontaneously combust and he should die. But however, Kenpachi is a crazy ass motherfucker. like I keep on saying, Kenpachi will kill you and rape your corpse because, you know, he's not up all there in the head. So something like enveloping him in a fraction of space won't necessarily kill him, much just make him angrier and want to kill you. So after this, basically this portion of space has enveloped Kenpachi, he, using Nozarashi, possibly one of Nozarashi's abilities, he cuts through the imagination itself. So just to paint the picture, Gremmy summoned space, or made real space around Kenpachi, then closed it. Then Kenpachi, whilst inside that form of space, enveloped by space, he breaks, he fractures the imagination of space, which gives reason to believe that when Gremmy said that he can turn imaginations into reality, his imaginations are still basic imagination. So Kenpachi was able to cut through that. So with that said, there is, say, a finite point to what Gremmy can imagine. It is not infinite. So he has finite imaginative powers, which is why Gremmy could have been possibly able, which is why Kenpachi could have been possibly able to cut through this imagination, because it is finite, it is not infinite, if that makes sense. So we're moving on, and whilst before Kenpachi actually cuts it, we have a frame where we see Kenpachi basically dying, with his fluids being evaporated from his body, and he's like screaming, he's like, ah, I'm gonna die, etc., etc. And he is getting angrier and angrier the more he's attacked, the angrier and angrier he gets. And then finally, like I explained previously, he cuts through the imagination and destroys that finite imaginative power, and he also takes out one of the V's with him, so down from 8 now to 7. So with that, we move on, and we have Kenpachi just killing more Gremmys, like, you know, attacking, going apeshit, just destroying whatever he can see. And from what I can tell, it seems as if Gremmy, taken to, or with his back against the wall, summons some sort of gigantic explosion, which also then envelops Kenpachi. This explosion is on a massive scale. It's really hard for me to really paint the picture, because, like I said, I can't really put these manga pictures on my videos anymore because I get copyrighted, so fuck. But yeah, painting the best picture I can, it's really just, it looks like a planet that exploded. In general, that's what it looks like. It's a massive explosion that deals considerable amount of damage to Kenpachi. And then, if, like I've mentioned, things like this won't phase Kenpachi, and it just keeps on taking Gremmy aback. Like, what is it going to take to kill this monster? And then we have on the last page, the translation is, what the, he's really a monster, alright, I understand. So, in somewhat, what I think is going to happen next is that Gremmy understands that Kenpachi is a monster, so to kill a monster, you use a monster or you become a monster. Gremmy isn't on the level of monstrosity that Kenpachi is. So what I'm assuming he's going to do next, possibly with the 3 or 4 Gremmys that are still alive, he will actually summon a second Kenpachi to fight Kenpachi. So it could be a Kenpachi v Kenpachi like battle, which obviously makes somewhat sense because he's like, you're a monster, alright, I understand. Which kind of brings one to the conclusion that, you know, monster v monster, Kenpachi v Kenpachi. Which, if that did happen, it would be a ridiculously awesome fight. Like, who would win in Kenpachi v Kenpachi? Obviously Kenpachi, but, you know, which one? But yeah, it was a pretty wild chapter. I'm also, I'll put the link in the description for where I did my One Piece spoiler, so if you want to watch that, it'll be in the description. And I'll also be doing a Naruto one, so that will be in the description below as well. Anyways guys, that was my spoiler for the Bleach Manga chapter 578. I really hope you liked it, and just as a side note, I just like to say, if you're like me, and after you watch an anime series episode, or read a manga chapter, or finish it, and you'd like somebody to discuss it with, but you really have nobody to do so, because nobody in your family, or you don't really have close friends that do watch this kind of stuff, then I recently created my Google Plus account, so if you'd like to, you could follow me on Google Plus, and we could just hang out, chill, and talk about the latest One Piece chapter, because as always, my fans are the best, so really appreciate it guys, and as always, thank you for watching.